Back on the Marching to Madness College Basketball Podcast, where it's my pleasure to host Coach Jeff Capel of the Pitt Panthers once again. Coach Capel has 215 coaching victories at VCU, Oklahoma, and Pittsburgh, and the coach is rebuilding the Panthers as we speak. Coach, welcome.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me.
Hey, we all are watching, obviously, free agency in the NBA, and we see Justin Champagnie. He gets a two-way contract from the Raptors. Can you just talk a little bit about the approach at becoming a pro basketball player and how you think he'll fit with the Raptors program?
Yeah, we're really excited for Justin. Obviously, he would have wanted to have been drafted. But if you're not going to be picked in the first round, certainly, but even the early portion of the second round, in some ways, it's better to go undrafted because then you and your agent can pick the situation that's best for you. And that's exactly what happened to Justin. I think his agent kind of talked to teams, and after it got to a certain point in the second round, maybe tried to advise teams not to draft it because we knew, when I say we, our staff, his agent, we knew Toronto really, really liked him.
Mm-hmm.
And we knew that could be a very, very good situation for him. And the two-way is such a great thing for the players now, especially young guys entering the league. And so I think it's a great situation for him. Toronto is really big on player development. Their G League team does an amazing job. I know they really like him. A good friend of mine is the associate head coach there, and Adrian Griffin, and he and I have talked a lot. Justin's a guy that will work. Obviously, we know he's very competitive. He's versatile. It's been shocking talking to Griff, and he's talked about how well he's fit in defensively to their culture. That was a little bit of a surprise to us, but a pleasant surprise. But we're really, really excited for him and to watch him grow and to, more than anything, Ken, for him to achieve his dream of becoming an NBA player. And it happening, it happened in such a short time. It was probably something that none of us saw, but the growth that he made in his 2 years here was pretty remarkable.
Yeah, he's box office, I think, watching him play for you guys and then, turn around. I thought he should have had a great shot, at the player of the year, even in the ACC with the numbers he put up and then just how dominant he was sometimes.
Yeah, I thought that he certainly was there. He was in the top 2 or 3, 4. And I think our lack of success, especially down the stretch, probably hurt him with some of the voting. Certainly Moses Wright was very deserving, and they got hot down the stretch at Georgia Tech, and but he was deserving of it. But if you look at a guy that was second in the league in scoring by a few percentage points and led our league in rebounding, Justin, I think by 2 or 3 rebounds, he had a really remarkable year. And the thing that I was most proud of is this is a kid that really wasn't ranked coming out of high school. And what we talk about, he's the example of, he believed in us, we believed in him, and he got here and he worked his butt off. And in 2 years, he was able to have, really significant impact individually and on our program, individually for him with the numbers that he put up, but also on our program, helping us get better in both of the years that he was here.
You have a really nice player coming back. He was a transfer, I think, a year ago, Ethel Horton. He's leading returning scorer. He made 43 threes. Your thoughts on his overall game and a player he can be, now for the Pitt Panthers this upcoming season?
Yeah, I thought he was a good player last year, but I think he can do more. And I think with having the year under his belt in this league will really, really help him. Sometimes when you make the transition, even after sitting out, Ithiel set out, but coming from a mid-major and a good mid-major, Delaware is a really good school. They have a very good coach and they do a really good job. But then coming to the ACC, it could be a challenge. And I think the biggest challenge for Ithiel was him truly believing that he was good enough for this level. I think there were times when he had doubts. And I thought that throughout the season, he started to develop the confidence that you need to play at this level. And I think he'll be even better next year. We need him to be better. He has a gift of shooting the basketball. He's worked on different parts of his game, his ball handling, and things like that. And we look forward to him, really having a significant impact this year.
Yeah, your backcourt, I think it looks pretty settled with Femi Odukale and then Nike Sibande, two potential starters, I might add. I know you don't want to give anything away already. You got to compete, right? But
Yep.
Sibande led with 43 threes too. And Odukale, we find out he can get to the rim.
Yeah, those guys, I don't know who'll start, but they're going to play. There's no question they're going to play. And they're going to be really good players for us. I love the way that Nike and Femi finished the season when they were given more opportunities to play in minutes. Both of those guys, as far as points, percentages from the field and from the three, those were significant. And I think that led to them having a really, really good offseason and being in a position this year. For Nike, he was a guy that was kind of caught in that, when he transferred, was he going to be eligible? His first game, he didn't find out he was going to play until literally 53 minutes before the Miami game. We were at Miami December 16th. So he missed the first however many games. And then he plays that game, he plays Louisville. We go home for Christmas, we come back, and then he misses a few games because of COVID protocol. He didn't get COVID, but he misses 10 days where he has to be quarantined because of protocol. And so he just had a really disjointed year. And when he was able finally to get consistent minutes at the end, I think we saw what he can do. And we look forward to him having a whole summer here with us and to seeing, where that can go. And then Femi just got more confident as the season went on. He had a really horrific injury before the season where we weren't quite sure if he was going to be able to play. But not only did he play, he really helped us throughout the year. And I think at the end of the year, the last 4 games, you saw how confident he was. And so I think those two guys are coming into this season with a lot more confidence because they've shown a little bit what they can do.
And Jamarius Burton coming over 2 years at Wichita State, a year at Texas Tech, lots of different experiences in different conferences where there's different styles of ball. Talk about his talent. Now, there's you some depth either way.
Yeah. He's, like we knew he was good. And it's one of the reasons why we wanted him. But he's probably been a little bit of a surprise to me at the leadership part. He's certainly been a good player for us this summer and all the things that he's done. But he has kind of like an old school spirit. He's a no-nonsense guy. He's a worker. He's a leader. If you look at the 2 programs that he comes from, Wichita State and Texas Tech, they're 2 really good cultures of winning. And so I think he's tried to look at the best of both of those places and to figure it out. He's a really smart kid. He's a really inquisitive kid. He's constantly trying to learn and figure out how to get better. And I think he's trying to, look at the best of both worlds that he was able to gather from Wichita State and Texas Tech and to bring him here. So he's been really good. He's fit in very well. And he's shown amazing leadership ability right from the beginning.
I was wondering about William Jeffress too. I know he played in 16 games and he started 4. Has he started to develop more of a shot now?
That's the area where he has to be more consistent. He played well for us last year. He really played well early in the season, and then he hit kind of that freshman wall that most freshmen go through, even the elite ones. And I thought he finished strong. I thought he did some good things towards the end of the year. Obviously he was really young, and he still is very young for, going into his second year of college. He's really worked on getting stronger. I think when you see him this year, you'll notice immediately his body is changing, which is to be expected as he continues to get older. The biggest thing for him, like you mentioned, is to be able to show that he can consistently shoot the basketball from the perimeter. That's something he did at a very high level in high school. And now being able to do it consistently at this level, He has great length. He has a good feel for the game. He's shown that he can be a very good defender at this level. And now the last part is putting that part together where you can be a consistent shooter.
Coach, I know you're working to solidify the post game. Talk about some players that have shown, some down there this summer maybe, and then how your staff, has just worked with them and tried to develop that part of your attack.
Well, one of the things that I think will really help our post game is getting John Hughley back. I mean, that was a very significant loss for us last year. I actually thought John had started to finally get it. If you look at the game against Miami and the game against Louisville, those were his two last games right before Christmas. And he played very well in both of those games. And I thought it was starting to click for him. The speed of the game, the physicality, understanding how to use his physicality again, because in high school, big guys aren't able to be physical. And then unfortunately, there was an incident where he was suspended for the rest of the season. Having him back is huge for us. Because it gives us that inside presence, a guy that you can throw the basketball down to, that we feel like, hopefully can score at a high percentage. But John has a very good basketball IQ. He's a good passer. He has really good hands. We need him to be a very good rebounder. But having him there will really, really help us. Max and Madison got valuable opportunities in practice last year. He's our biggest body as far as size and, weight. So those guys, I think Noah Collier is going to be a guy in the front court. Those are the returning guys. Noah's very athletic. He's spent the whole summer working on his body, has added weight, has gotten stronger. And I think he understands kind of the strengths of his game more now as he heads into his second season. And then we've been able to go out in the front court and add a few guys. Mohamedou Guy from Stony Brook, who was a defensive player of the year there. He's very, very long, very athletic. We're excited about him and his potential. He's worked really hard since he's been here this summer. Dan Oladapo, he led his league in rebounding when he was at Oakland University and was a double-figure scorer as well, and provides us some depth there and a little bit older. And then Chris Payton is a guy that we're very excited about, a JUCO guy. Really athletic. He played center at his JUCO, but since he's been here, we've realized he's a little bit more skilled than just being an undersized center. He can drive it, he can shoot it, and he's very athletic. And then Nate Santos is a guy that we're really excited about, a freshman. He's about 6'7". He was one of the guys when he got here. One of the crazy things, we have these new guys. I didn't meet them until they got here.
Yeah.
Everything's on Zoom. And so when they got here and they walked into my office, the very first thing I'm doing is walking up to them to see if their heights really match what it says on paper.
Yeah.
And Nate was a guy that probably was a little bit bigger than I thought, but he's a legit 6'7", and he's got good size, for an incoming freshman, and he can really, really shoot the basketball, and so we're excited about the pieces that we have. And now as a staff, it's up to us to put those pieces together and figure out a style that's going to be conducive for this group.
Coach, as you were gathering these players together for the summer, was there a myriad of emotions, kind of, because a team, is coming together off what is one of the most, or really a couple of the most trepid times in the history of this country or the world, actually?
Yeah. I mean, it was, if you look at the events last year from 2 years ago when the tournament was canceled, conference tournaments and the NCAA tournament because of COVID. And then when you look at the social injustice, like the things that you saw, and, Ken, the thing that's amazing is that you can't get away from it because of these phones. Like you can't, it's in your face. And so every day you're looking at it. Every day you're seeing something and you're seeing something new. And there's a fear because of COVID and because of what's going on. It's different. You don't understand it. It's totally altering what your normal experience are as a human being, not just as a basketball player, but as a human being. And then all of a sudden you're looking at this social injustice, all these things that are happening, and it's scary. And then you go through a season. First of all, we're very fortunate and grateful that we're able to have a season, but it was different. There are no fans. It's eerie. You can never get used to it. There are stoppages, there are disruptions because you don't know day to day, are you going to be able to practice? Are you going to be able to play a game? I think we had 4 games, conference games that were canceled, because of COVID that we couldn't play. And so it certainly was. And then when the season's over with, you're dealing with now the one-time transfer thing, which is very, very different. And it's totally altered the landscape of college basketball. And then you're dealing with, as you get into July, name, image, and likeness. And so it's just been this whirlwind of all these things that have just happened at once. I'm really proud of our staff for the way that we were able to kind of deal. We lost some guys with the transfer portal, but I don't think we got better with the guys that we got from the transfer portal and then the guys that we were able to bring back. And so I really like where we are right now. I really like this group. And now it's a matter of us getting together and figuring out how to win now.
Last thing, Coach, obviously you played at Duke for Coach Mike Krzyzewski, and you were Coach K's assistant there for many years. Just capsulize your thoughts, when you heard that Coach K was going to, retire here at the end of the 21-22 season.
Yeah, it's crazy because, I have never imagined anyone else coaching Duke but him.
Yeah,
I think my whole life, from the time I was 5 years old, he was the Duke coach.
Yeah.
So from the time I can remember basketball, or really knowing and understanding basketball, he's been the coach at Duke. And so that was odd. Now, we knew that it was coming, you just didn't expect it to be this soon. So it wasn't a matter of if it was going to happen, it was when. The thing that I feel, I guess, good about is that he's able to do it how he wants to do it.
Right.
He's able to go out the way that he wants to go out. And that's, I think, incredibly special and means a lot to me because that's what he deserves. He has given so much to this game because of what he has done. It has benefited every coach in our profession. Every coach in our profession is better or in better positions to have success, to make more money, to have greater impact because of him. And not solely because of him, but he has been as big as anyone in helping coaches have more attention, have a bigger platform and things like that. And so we all owe a debt of gratitude to him. And I'm always rooting for him. I'm going to be rooting for him all year long, except for one game. When we play him, and if we end up having to play him again in the tournament, then it'll be that. But I'm really grateful for my relationship with him and the fact that he's able to kind of do it like Frank Sinatra, do it his way.
I think you mentioned a really interesting point. What he's doing for coaches and for the game probably means as much to him as winning anything he's won. I think that he could lend a hand. He seems, like that caliber of a person.
Yeah, it's interesting, man, because I know him on a very, very deep level. Obviously, I played for him, so I committed to Duke at the end of my junior year. So I was 17 years old when I committed there. And I tell people, when I was 17 to 21, like I believed in him. That's the reason I went there. I swear by him now because I played for him, but then when you get a chance to work with someone and you're with them every day, and it always ended up for the 7 years that I was there, for a lot of the times, it ended up being me and him on a plane, me and him in the car, me and him in a meeting, me and him in the gym, me and him in someone's house. And at those times, you get a chance to see kind of behind the curtain and to see, someone for who they really are. And that's why I've always been incredibly defensive and some of the things that I've heard said about him. You know, like people talked about the whole USA basketball stuff when he took and the advantage that it had. And did it have an advantage? Yeah, it did. But it's an advantage that was earned. You know, it wasn't something that, like, he earned that position and he earned to be in that spot. But people failed to realize he was involved in USA basketball when he first went to Duke. From 1980 on, he was coaching teams. I know how much coaches mean to him. I mean, I saw a lot of the things that he did for coaches that no one knows. It was not for public. It was not for social media. He wasn't doing it to let people know. But I saw a lot. I saw, Ken, how many coaches would reach out to him for advice, and not just advice on coaching, advice on life or how to deal with relationships or how to deal with different things if they were struggling with something. And a lot of times it wouldn't take them calling. He would reach out. He would figure, okay, do you know this guy's number? Can you get this guy's number? I want to call and say something or drop a note. Or when he got into texting, you know, to drop a text to him. And so I know how much the game means to him. Like, he's a guy that loves the game. He loves the game of basketball. And that's a purity that's there that is not really in our game as much anymore. And I think money has changed it. But he's one of the last guys that, you know, kind of from that generation, they got into it not for the money. They got into it to truly help young people get better.
Coach Jeff Capel, always welcome and always a privilege here on Marching to Madness. Coach, I wish you the best this season. I hope you do well and you continue to work hard to revive Pittsburgh basketball.
Well, I appreciate it and appreciate your time as always.